Days, will we get stuck straight into this, or do we need Are you locked in for the intro this week? No, definitely not. I've changed it about 10 times, so I'm reading it straight off the iPad today.
That's okay, and I'm not prepared either, so this will be fun.
It's meant to be casual.
It's supposed to be
casual.
exactly. Yeah.
This
So
is it.
we
Is it?
will-
Yeah.
I would go casual, but I would do you a disservice if I went casual on the intro. So let's get stuck into this. Welcome back to the Two Eejits Talking Fitness podcast. I'm Eejit 1, Jack McGailey. This is Eejit 2 beside me, Keith O'Rourke.
What's up, everyone?
And we've a very topical subject today, because in the world of health and fitness, you have every health and fitness coach or influencer telling you that all you need to do is 10,000 steps a day, 3 strength sessions a week, and track your calories. And it's just that simple. And in reality, it probably is. But when you have a sick child at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then when you have to wake up and get lunches ready, get yourself out to work, your day doesn't finish until 10 o'clock, then tracking calories, going to the gym a couple of days a week is just not practical. So on the podcast today, we are getting into what health and fitness actually looks like when you've got kids, what's realistic, what's nonsense, and how to stop this all or nothing mindset from taking over, because that's no good for anybody. And we couldn't have a better guest for this one. She's a mother of 3, a former primary school teacher who shares a lot of her own experience with losing weight and getting fit. And you notice this podcast 5. We're not. That's why I can't do this casual. I'm getting fit, and as one of the biggest health and fitness communities in Ireland, she has her own podcast and is also mentoring coaches on how they can build their own business. Please welcome Kate Hamilton.
Welcome to the podcast, Kate.
Thank you very much. You've made me sound really, really important, and I really appreciate that.
With a little bit of filth thrown in there.
Yeah,
So, Kate, before we get started in this, I told Kate I have to ask you this question. You're a mum of 3, you're really busy. We've been, we've known each other for a while now on, through social media and different things that we've done. I've seen how busy you are. And as a mother of 3, I've got a 10.5-week-old. How the fuck do you manage to do what you do? Okay.
First of all, congratulations, Jesus. That's you're not at an easy stage. 10.5 weeks. It's how I often think about this, because where the stage you're at now, my sister is at, well, she's got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And anytime I have to mind her kids, I love minding them. But Jesus Christ, I'm fucking exhausted after it. Like, I really am. Like, one day I forgot to have lunch. I never forget to have a meal. Like, and like, my kids are a little bit older. So I have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So it's busy in the sense of, they play sports. So, we're looking at training, we're looking at matches. I'm up late waiting for my teenager to come home from a party. That kind of stuff is happening now, which is, I don't
Different
feel,
kind of challenges.
I don't feel old enough for it. Like, I'm like, why am I my mum that's sitting up waiting for me? Like, I don't know how that's happened, but anyway, and my 8-year-old has just finished 2nd class. Like, so they're in school. And the older 2 are in school until 4 o'clock every day. The younger fella's in school until 3 o'clock every day. So I have structure around their routine. So for me, I think it gets easier in that sense. It gets easier in the brain power and the creativity and the time that you have for you as they get older compared to when they're younger. And I often think that when I'm minding my sister's kids, being like, I wouldn't be able to have been able to do what I'm doing now when my kids were that age, I don't think.
Yeah, that's one thing that I found that it's probably better over the last 4 weeks now. Again, I'm not an expert. Like, she's 10.5 weeks. She's not I'm not a parent that long, but for the first 4 or 5 weeks, there was just no bandwidth there, and not out of tiredness, because she was a great sleeper and all that, but you're just constantly, what's going to go wrong next? I think when they're a bit younger, and especially when you can't chat to them, or maybe they're 2 and 3 years old, it's like, what are they going to get up to next?
I think it just takes so much of your focus and your energy. It's all consuming. So you only, as we know, that's finite, and you only have so much that you can give as it is. And I think this is how we all end up, like, as parents, burning out, is by trying to do everything perfectly. And I think, when I look back to when I was growing the business, let's say in the early days, it was quite all consuming, and I did have a lot of mum guilt. And I wasn't as present as, let's say, I am now. And I kind of, at the time, felt quite guilty about that. And looking back, I'm like, but my kids got to see me grow a business and keep fit and healthy at the same time. And, even with like fitness, when I started getting into fitness, my older two were much younger. I used to do workouts on my kitchen floor, and they used to join in and copy me and like jump on me, and so there was kind of great joy in keeping it simple, and for them to actually just see that this was normal as well.
Yeah. I think that's a huge one of parents, and we'll definitely get into it in a bit more detail, but that's whenever, and because we all work with parents, we've all coached parents and stuff like that, I always find that whatever goal someone comes in with, if they're a parent being like, oh, I want to lose a bit of weight or get a bit fitter or healthier or whatever the goal is, when you keep digging into it, it always leads back to, I want to set a good example for my kids. I want to like be around for my kids as long as possible. So that kind of thing where you said of like, hey, you're taking time away to like focus on yourself. You're also setting that great example for your kids of like, hey, look, here's me taking care of myself. Here's me making sure I'm eating healthy, exercising, and doing it with your kids in like the kitchen or something like that, where you're exercising with your kids is such a great way of highlighting that. Because I think, like you said, that mum guilt of like the business side of things, a lot of people just feel that with, oh, I feel guilty because I'm taking an hour to go and exercise and leave like my kids at home or something. It's like, but that's actually super important for you to do and focus on. Not that you're spending 7 hours a week in the gym leaving the kids behind, but at least some level of it,
But I think it's really important for your kids to see that going to the gym is a normal part of grown-up life. I think like it's hugely important. Otherwise, your kids will grow up and think that it's a chore also. That it's something normal, like mum and dad go to work, mum and dad go to the gym, or or they work out at home. It doesn't have to be in the gym, but that exercise is a part of that life, and that it's like, even like when they were younger, now they wouldn't be seen dead with me now, and they can avoid going out with me now, they will, like, so usually it's just me and Dave and my youngest lad now that go out. But like our weekends were just filled with going up the mountains, walking, going on different hikes, or if we'd have a football match, just say out Malahide or somewhere, then it would be like, right, let's go for a walk, go get lunch and have a walk. So it'd always be, going out in the outdoors, walking, exploring, and just being active with them as well. That was a normal thing to do at the weekends rather than just sitting around.
Yeah. And I think when we're looking at it now, I think a lot of people will probably be like, oh, but it's easy for you. You're into health and fitness. You're a coach, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's easy to make it part of your life when it is part of your life. But like Jack was saying in the intro, you were a primary school teacher before you got into health and fitness, and you were a teacher when you were, when the kids were younger, and obviously you made the switch in from like being a primary school teacher into coaching and everything. But let's say when you think back to the teaching days, when you were a primary school teacher, when you had younger kids, when it was a bit more hectic, when it was busier, what did health and fitness look like for you at that stage, when you were, let's say, living the life that someone watching today is maybe living, where they're like, it's so impossible to do this? How did you make it a part of your life? Or was it a part of your life, or did you like make it a part of your life at that stage?
So I suppose started making it a part of my life in about late 2015. Is when I really started kind of consistently working out, and I did it from home. I used to follow, so like the early days of Instagram, and Kayla Itsines, the Australian girl. But she, there was no big fancy sweat app back then, or big business empire that she has now, and it was just these PDFs. And she was building a little bit of an online Instagram community at the time, and I started doing her workouts at home, and I loved it. It was something about the community aspect. And like, I remember from early on being like, when I started to get into health and like building a health and fitness business myself, I'm like, I want that sense of community for women. Like that's what I wanted to create, in my own way, obviously. But, so for me, it was like, I was just consuming the content, the community, and I very much wanted to step into that identity. So, and I think identity-based habits are so important, where it was like, I wasn't happy in who I was and my habits. I was drinking every weekend. I was, like, my diet wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great either. I didn't go for walks at the weekend. I, just did very little. Definitely wasn't active. Definitely wasn't particularly healthy. And I was like, I want this lifestyle. I want to get out at the weekends. I want to have the energy. I want to feel good. I want to look good as well. And I was kind of, at that stage, I hadn't had my third kid, but I'd had 2 kids. I was still in my 20s, and I felt frumpy and just not like me. And then, so I think when it came to actually practically fitting that into my life, it was so important to me. I was like, I need to do this. I have to do these workouts to be the person that I want to be. So it would be like I would schedule it that I'd be like, right, as soon as I get home from school, I'm going to get my weights out, do it straight away, put the TV on for the kids, get it done. And then like some days I'd be fighting with myself all day, being like, no, I really don't want to do that. And I'd kind of be talking myself out of it. So then I started getting up before them in the morning and doing it in the early morning. And that was amazing for me because then it just kind of set me up for the day and I felt better. What was never really consistent with the early morning, would do it when I could. But then I also liked that when I did it in the afternoon, then sometimes they'd join in as well. And then the summer we could work out in the back garden and stuff. So it was really, I think, for me, it was like I have 3 workouts a week to do and I want to go out for a walk at the weekend. And I just kept it simple. And I did it at home. And I just bought weights. And when I needed more weights, I bought more weights. And that's where I started. And it was just like, I have 3 of them to do a week. And they were like 30-minute workouts. It's like, that's 90 minutes of my week.
Yeah.
And I just made it non-negotiable because of the identity I wanted to establish for myself.
Yeah. And I love that when you say those like identity-based habits, like what, when you think of identity-based habits, how would you describe that to someone listening at home, let's say, or someone watching?
Okay. This could be like you're opening a can of worms here. This is what I feel really passionate about, right? Okay, so you will never change if you are not extremely clear on what it is that you want, first of all. So like journaling, in my opinion, is necessary unless you've got a really, really clear, visually creative brain, which I don't. So like, you need to, what do you want? What is it that you want? What is your goal? Is it like, a lot of people will throw out numbers. I want to lose 3 stone. I want to be a size 12. I want to run 5K or whatever. But like as you dig deeper, but what is it? Why do you want that? And like you dig deeper with the why and get really, really clear on the goal of, what it is that you want and who it is you want to be. So I think like when we dig deep enough, what we're really looking for is freedom and happiness. And sometimes we can be chasing the wrong things for that. And that can that can result in obsessive exercise, of obsessive dieting, feeling like you won't be happy until you, whatever the goal is, insert goal here. So I think when I talk about identity-based habits, being like, okay, I want to be someone who walks every day. I want to be someone who has energy to go do fun things with their kids. I want to be someone who feels confident when they go out with the girls for dinner. Whatever it is, I want to be someone who is able to run 5K, whatever the goal is. But instead of it being the goal that's external to you, it's like, I want to be the person that does that. And then you need to do the journaling work on, okay, well, that version of yourself, like that version of myself, like whatever I'm working towards is Queen Kate. So it's like Queen version of myself. Celtic Queen, can we just say, just to be clear?
Gotta get the Irish.
Yeah, absolutely. But like what does she do every day? How does she think? What does she think about? How does she feel? Because it's the thoughts and the emotions that are the most important here. And this is actually the foundations of manifestation as well, which, when you actually look into the science-based research on this, is extremely powerful. So this version of yourself that you're looking to become, the emotions, the thoughts, the habits, the actions, you need to embody that now. So, that can be easy, forcing ourselves, not easy, but, simple in the sense that we're forcing ourselves to do habits. But if we're still beating ourselves up and we're still hating on ourselves and disgusted by what we see in the mirror, saying like, it actually really upsets me, the amount of women I've worked with and the amount of women who really like their inner voice is just so cruel. Like, and I think that a lot of that work you need to then not be hard on yourself for thinking the thoughts, but you need to become the observer and be like, okay, I'm doing it again. how would Queen Kate be thinking right now? And you train yourself to. So I kind of walked around in this delusional state that I was, like super fit athlete, and and I do it now in business all the time. Like, you've no idea who I think I am. But,
most people that are successful in business are wildly delusional.
Yeah,
it's part of how
I think it's extremely important, but I think it's true for every goal. And so I used to walk around and I'd I'm so fit, I'm so toned or whatever. And I remember in the early days and I'd started doing a bit of running, and my husband thought he was doing something really cute. I was out running, and we had from our upstairs window you can see out the back road. So he went out and he took a picture of me running, and when I got back he's like, look, I got a picture of you running. And I looked at myself and I cried. I was like, I don't look like that. Like, I had this, the way some people have that body dysmorphia where they think they look way worse than they are. Like, I was like, oh, that's what I really look like.
Manifesting the other side. Yeah.
But it works, because if you identify as that person with those emotions and those thoughts and those feelings and those habits, you bring it into form. And you're not waiting to reach a goal to feel a certain way. You're feeling the way the whole time. And I get a lot of clients that will be like, oh, I wish I was back when, when you hear people say, I wish I looked like I did when I thought I was fat. Or they look back at their wedding, or their, when they were 25 or whenever, they look back or to a time they lost weight and they see a photo and they looked amazing and they're like, I want to get back there. But what you need to remember is what you actually want is how you felt there. And you don't walk around seeing yourself all the time. What made you feel the way you felt there? It was probably the habits, the thoughts, the emotions, the high energy from the movement, that's the stuff that actually made you feel good. And that's what I think is most important.
Big time. I find it interesting in that side as well, because a lot of the folks that, I'd say the three of us, a lot of folks that would work with us aren't people that are like, I just want to get absolutely shredded for a photo shoot or something like that. It's more a case of, I want to just lose the weight, feel better, and become, like you said, the kind of help them kind of figure out who they want to become, what that version of them is. And the big thing I always say to them is this isn't a plan. We're not creating a plan for you to get there. We're creating the lifestyle that it takes to become that person. Because if you're not living the lifestyle, you might do all the shit you need to do for 12 weeks to get there, and then you just stop doing it and you go back to how you were beforehand. So it's we need to help you create the lifestyle when it comes to, if you want to be the person that looks this way, feels this way, exactly like you said there, you're almost reverse engineering it to be that person you're thinking of, what do they do now? They probably exercise 3 times a week, potentially. They probably do some kind of strength training, some kind of cardio. They probably make sure they're eating healthy food most of the time. So you're kind of reverse engineering that to be I always get, at the start when people sign up, I always give them the lifestyle to be hey, if you're living this lifestyle, and if we can get you from where you are now to where this lifestyle takes you, by the time you're doing everything on this piece of paper right now, you're going to be the version of that person. And even on the way to it, you're going to be that person 4 or 5 weeks in, because you're going to be, I already feel better because I'm doing the things.
You don't have to wait until you reach the goal to feel the way you want to feel. You can feel that way from day one. That one day of putting, those habits in place. You're like, yes, I've got it. And I think it's really important, that version of yourself, that future version that you're looking at, you have to connect with them, because the amount of people who have that future idea of themselves in their head, but it's actually a different person. So then when they get to where they're going, it doesn't feel like enough, and they don't feel the way they thought they felt, that thought they would feel. And it's because they haven't embodied it along the way. And it's hugely important. And it's where a lot of people miss. And as well, that progress happens so slowly. And the amount of people that I see that give up because they get impatient. And it's there's no quick way to do this. There isn't. There's no quick way to do this that's going to give you what you're actually looking for, the feeling you're actually looking for, that confidence, that connection that I believe everyone is looking for. No matter what injections you take, no matter what quick diet you take, and different methods are there for different reasons, and there's no right or wrong way to do things, but the underlying emotional stuff, unless it's dealt with and unless you step into it, you're not going to achieve what you actually need. You're achieving what you think you need. And I'd argue those people that do the shredded photo shoots, and no disrespect, but how many of them have actually dug deep and thought, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
For your business, to see if you can do something difficult. What is it that you actually want from it?
Yeah. There's always, I find there's like, when it comes to that, because we had Eamon Duff on last week, who would have done like photo shoots and all that kind of stuff, and is big into like getting the best shape you can, like at least once in life kind of thing, which I totally agree with. But I do think there has to come a level of like, why are you getting in that shape? Because a lot of people can just see photos and be like, yeah, I want to look like that, and not realize what it takes to look like that. And then they get there and they're like, I'm never doing this again. This was super difficult, and it like maybe mentally sends them in the wrong direction. So I think
I have a huge issue with this. I really do. And I'm probably too scared to talk about it enough online. Talk about it on your podcast. And I know Eamon, and and I know a lot of people who do get in that kind of incredible shape. But I think what the ordinary person doesn't understand is that level of lean is not healthy. It's it's not.
We did speak about that too.
And I know people who do that level of lean will talk about how it's not healthy, but online it's not portrayed that it's not healthy, that it is extreme. It's just like, pro level sport, that level it's taxing on your body. It's not healthy. You know what I mean? Like that that somewhere a little bit further back is where is healthy. And like when you talk about relationship with body, relationship with food, but like particularly for females when it comes to hormones,
big time.
And I've seen it time and time again, the amount of women who do almost irreversible damage to their bodies from getting that level of lean. For what? Like when, for what? I've done a few photo shoots. I've never done them like inside out lean ever. I get to a certain stage and I'm like, no, I'm done. Any further, this is not healthy. Like, and I'll, and there's, so I think when the ordinary person sees people who look like that, like, that's what I need to look like to be happy.
Yeah.
But you've spoken to plenty of people who've done photo shoots, and you may have done them yourselves. Are you happy?
No, you're miserable at that point. And you're not walking around like that any longer than like a week or two. Most people, outside of people that are getting paid to do that as their job, like your average person that does a photo shoot.
You see young girls that are doing photo shoots, and they could genuinely be jeopardizing their ability to have children.
Yeah. But you see, I think we see it now more than we have in the last while, is like females coming out being like, I didn't have a menstrual cycle for 2 years because I was doing this.
But there's this whole narrative, like, Keith, that it's normal, that's normal in this culture, that it is so not normal. And not only is that, like, and I know some people, not all women want to have kids, and I understand that, but I also think when you're 25, you don't know that yet. That you might change your mind when you're 35. And if you take away that chance for yourself, there, like that, I just think it's a really dangerous game to play. But also for women, in relation to, if you don't have a menstrual cycle, your bone density, your bone density. And I'm 40 now. I work with a lot of women in their 40s, 50s and 60s. And, like, people are desperately trying to increase their bone density. But really we need to be looking at that in our 20s and 30s as well, and not be doing the opposite because we want to look a certain way. And you can look amazing with a normal amount of body fat. You can look amazing with a menstrual cycle, and you can still wear your gym sets and your crop tops, and it doesn't mean you've got loads of body fat. You can have amazing muscle mass and look amazing without having to. I don't think it looks good on women really to get to that level of lean. I don't think it really probably looks good on anyone to get to that level of lean. And I just don't understand the concept, the challenging yourself to do something hard. It's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Definitely open a can of worms for that one there.
Yeah. I'm like, why don't you just go run a marathon or something? That's hard. Why don't you go climb a big mountain? Like, why don't you do some sort of charity event around it? Like, you know what I mean? Instead of,
Yeah, like I would have always been on the mindset of those photo shoots, and like the closest one that I've ever done. Now, I never got the tan and the professional photographer, and I remember I was pasty white in the middle of the gym saying this is what it was like. And I wasn't like trimly, but I was like, this photo shoot, which I only done, I think, for like the diet was like 6 weeks. It was like 1,800 calories a day. It was mince and veg for breakfast. It was diabolical.
Yeah.
But even I didn't go to those extremes where I'd done it for 6 months, but I was like, this is after taking away so much more than it has given me, both in this 6 weeks leading up to it, or the 8 weeks leading up to it. But as well as that, the rebound that happened after for me, and I was 21, 22 at the time. So like 21, 22-year-old man you can get away with sort of bringing your body fat levels down that much.
Yeah.
Whereas then for a female at 25 or maybe a parent or something, that just like, if you're going to start taking away from time with your kids, if you're going to start taking away from, you know, your long-term health, like, is lean at all costs really worth it anymore?
Yeah, I think
You know?
there's kind of like Larry Doyle was on, spoke about it very well, in the sense that there's levels to leanness that I think is like, if people want to get, like, let's say a lean, it's like there's bodybuilding lean, which is all the damage, like the top end of it, that, like, unless that's your job and you're getting paid for it a lot, for 90% of people, it's just ludicrous to
But
put
a lot
your
of
body
photo
through
shoot
that.
people are getting to that lean.
But that's the way he looks at it, is like there's bodybuilding lean, there's photo shoot lean, and then there's beach lean. Photo shoot being kind of like just on the way to bodybuilding, but like a lot of people, like you said, are pushing themselves to close to
next
bodybuilding
level,
lean
to do an even next level photo shoot where they could step on stage.
Yeah. And I think, like, I probably in the middle compared to both of you, in the sense of doing a photo shoot or something for people that know what they're doing and are being coached properly to manage the other side of it, and not to push themselves to, like, bodybuilding, disgusting calorie levels, that kind of stuff. If you want to do that to kind of push yourself physically, and I hate seeing, like, guys versus girls, but, like, for guys it's going to be way easier to do that without having all the hormonal issues. Some hormonal issues, but definitely not all the hormonal issues that come with it. There's still a risk for guys as well. But, like, doing photo shoots to that level, I don't think is that bad when you're not pushing it really to that point and you know what you're doing. The thing is, most people that are doing it are being coached by other people that don't know what they're doing. They're being coached by other coaches that don't care how your hormones are. They don't care what happens to you afterwards. They're like, if I get you shredded to bits, I send you somewhere where you get a fake tan, you get a photo shoot, I get to post photos on my on my Instagram to be like, look at the before and after, and then that's all that coach gives a shit about.
A lot of those coaches don't care about your health.
Not at all. And because they nearly want you to go through it, bounce back, put the weight back on, come back to them and be like, okay, I'm ready to go again. And every time you sign up, it's just photo shoot, photo shoot, photo shoot.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not until people have done it enough to realize, oh, I actually feel way better when I'm like 6 weeks out from the photo shoot and I don't have to push my body to that last part. And I think for sitting, like, parents and stuff watching this, like, anytime I have someone come to me that's a parent that's like, yeah, I've seen so-and-so that's in, like, phenomenal shape. And I'm like, you can get in phenomenal shape, but, like, you trying to do anything near that level with, like, kids, when your sleep is off, all that kind of stuff, like, your priority should be, in my opinion, getting really healthy and getting in good shape. But, like, that level is kind of crazy stuff if you have other challenges going on in life as well.
I suppose it's probably something that I just, I have to understand the why in something. And I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, I've done a photo shoot and it's really empowering and it feels great and it's fun, especially if you do it with your friends or with your coach that you get on well with. And you're like, it's a fun experience. But it's not that fun that I'm willing to trade my joy and my health for. Like, you know, I'm like, well, I just don't get it. But I also think that and obviously these are all just my opinions. I'm being very opinionated today. I must be cranky today. But I think that as a parent, I think that's a young person's game, in fairness. You really want to do it. But I think when you have kids that are watching. Like, I have 2 sons and I have a daughter. And particularly my daughter, it's really important to me that she sees calories as being fuel and nourishment, fuel for her. She plays Gaelic football, that, you know, eating is important to fuel for your sport, and that healthy, balanced meals are important for health, and that I'm not restricting or going out, bringing them out places and sitting there and not eating or having my separate food to them. I don't want them to see me eat out of Tupperware when I'm bringing them out to McDonald's, like, or sorry, it doesn't have to be McDonald's. Okay. Please eat McDonald's now. I'm messing. But you know what I mean? Like, I think there's, especially with parenting, as I'm coming out the other side with teenagers, you only actually get, like, and Jack, you're in the trenches now at the minute, but it gets easier when they're about 3 till they're about 13. And there's about this 10-year gap where they want to hang out with you and they want to do things, and you're over that really stressful stage when they're trying to kill themselves, basically, you know, with everything they grab. And, you know, that you can really enjoy that time with them. You've 10 years. And, like, I know I sound like an Ellen, but it goes so fucking fast. Like, it goes so fast. And then, you know, they become teenagers and you still spend time with them, but not as much. So why would you want to spend those 10 years constantly worrying about what you're eating, not being able to have an ice cream with your kid when you're out on a sunny day, or, you know, the odd time you're out shopping and you do go to McDonald's, that you're filled with absolute anxiety and dread that
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't have McDonald's. I'll have to bring my salad on the side. It's
Mm.
like you want to be able to share those memories with your kids, and you don't want your kids to see you being weird about food because kids do what they see.
Yeah.
But also, you don't want to be so consumed that you're not present and that you miss it.
Mm.
And that makes me really sad that so many people do miss it. For what? Again,
Yeah.
for what?
And
What's the
even-
point in it all? Like,
Yeah. Even bringing it for like a little bit further back from like say the photo shoot side of things, I think the thing that even a lot of particularly females as well, like guys less so, I think around that age, like when you're like late 20s, 30s kind of thing, of just constantly being in some sort of a diet. Like just dieting for years on end in the sense of like you're either never they're either following some random diets online or they're just on like constantly trying to diet but never dieting properly, so you're never actually losing the weight they want to lose, but they feel like they're always trying to be dieting or be on a diet. Like I always kind of find that with females where I'm trying to get them to the point of like, okay, we want to finish the diet as soon as possible so that we can start eating more to fuel you, to nourish you, and like even while you're dieting, that's still the priority, is that we're not just like cutting food out, we're like putting the right food into it. And I think that mindset, particularly especially with Irish families, I find that like there's just always been the mindset of like, well, no, I can't eat that. That's bad. I can't eat this. That's bad. It's like, well, no, if you get to the point where we get you to the shape you want to be in not the least amount of time possible, but in like a realistic amount of time, then we can show you how, like what life looks like when you're not dieting, because we don't want to be dieting forever, you know, the eternal diet that people, and that also was how people's hormones and everything get so out of whack when they're constantly like, they're either having 4,000 calories a day or they're having like 1,000 calories a day. It's like, there should be a middle ground in there somewhere for people, you know?
Yeah, and it really is starting fresh with that. And like, don't get me wrong, I've gone very anti-diet, anti-photo shoot. I'm very pro being in shape, you know, being in healthy shape and being healthy and fit and strong. And I think it's so important to get those foundations in place. And that is, you know, 3 healthy balanced meals a day, if not 4, depending on what way your day is structured. You know, that you're having enough protein, carbohydrates, healthy fats, that you're resistance training, that you are moving your body every day. Like all of these things are so important. And learning that, you know, you do need to eat an avocado, you do need to eat a bit of meat, you do need to, you know, there's no one way to do things, but that we're not cutting out food groups. You need to eat your carbohydrates.
Yes, please.
Yeah, please eat your carbohydrates. Please, if you eat meat, please do make sure you're eating enough of it because it's a great source of protein. If you're not, make sure you're pairing your foods properly to get the correct amount of protein. You know, do not cut out and women do this all the time, in particular when they cut their calories, they cut their fat.
Yeah.
And it's they don't even realize they're doing it because it's just the easier way to cut calories. And it's trusting the process initially of that when you actually do eat regularly and you have the right amount of these, that it's easy. It's easy to lose weight. And a lot of clients that start with me that, you know, particularly if they've got a lot of weight to lose, I sometimes don't even get them to track calories initially. We just put the meals in place, just the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner has to have a protein, carb and a fat on it, has to be a fruit or a vegetable on each plate, and a little bit of a walk every day. So a lot of them don't even start resistance training for the first few weeks. Just walk and structure the meals, plenty of water, and have like one little chocolate snack a day or whatever.
That's one of the things we're actually going to ask about, like in terms of, you know, some of the challenges that we can see, let's say parents coming to us, what they're struggling with, like what are the challenges that they're struggling with that aren't like the social media issues that people are talking about all the time in terms of like how to get less calories in and how to do this and how to make all these fancy meals. Like what are some of the challenges? Let's say if a parent comes to you and they're like, you know, I've tried the whole track calories thing, it doesn't work for me. How do you approach that? Is that exactly what you just said there, where you're focusing on the quality of the food, or?
I think like tracking calories is a skill. And I think when you're making changes to your lifestyle, and you also have a really busy life, changing everything at once is too overwhelming, and it needs to be done in a step-by-step way. So with, you know, just getting the meal structures in place, introducing the walk, if someone is a complete beginner, let's say, that can be enough to not overwhelm them yet. But the tracking the calories, in my opinion, when it comes to fat loss, is a skill that I like my clients to learn how to do. So if someone says they're too busy to track calories, I'm like, no, bullshit. Like, you're not too busy to track calories. You just need to learn the skill. And it requires a little bit of brain power temporarily. It gets easier with time. Sometimes you may not have time to go to the gym. I get that. But you do have time to track your calories. Stop scrolling and track your calories. And I think things like finding a good high protein breakfast that works, like my protein overnight oats. I make them every night. I have them every morning. For a long time, I had protein Weetabix every morning. I have the same thing every day. So it's a copy and paste job. Once you find what works, stick with it. Same with lunches and snacks. Like, have the same lunch or 2 or 3 lunches that you alternate between. Like, what works for you?
Out of it.
Yeah, it takes that decision fatigue, and then it's just dinner. And if you have a family, like, this healthy lifestyle should be a family affair. So you don't need to make something separate for yourself. Like, in my house, we cook curry, we cook bolognese, we have chicken and spuds, we have enchiladas, we have like homemade pizzas, whatever. Like, and it's just a case of you tracking that and having maybe a little bit of extra salad on the side, and just and everyone in your house is eating a little bit better. It doesn't have to be chicken nuggets and chips for the kids and a salad for you.
Yeah.
You can have you're going to feel so much more satisfied if you have like a pasta bake with mince in this lovely like sauce, a little bit of cheese on top, than if you're having this teeny salad with a little bit of chicken sprinkled on top, like, or whatever. It doesn't need to be like that. So your life, so you're actually better off to just continue eating the way you eat and just make each of those meals a little bit better. Optimize one meal at a time while you're tracking, and make those changes over time.
That was one of the things I thought was very useful from Larry's podcast 2 weeks ago. It's like, you don't need to learn, you don't need to become a nutritionist to learn about tracking calories. You probably eat the same foods week in, week out. You might have 10 different dinners over the space of a month, but you're not having 30 different over the space of a month. You're probably having 2, max 3 different breakfast options throughout the course of the week. So just learn that. And if you track it and you're like, oh shit, that's 800 calories when I thought it was only 400 calories, then you can start making the changes. But this overwhelm of and I suppose it's a thing with coaches. Like, we always say that you can eat whatever you want and track calories, and as long as you're hitting targets and you're eating well, you'll drop body fat. But then a lot of people go, so I have to learn how to track everything. And it's like, no. Track what you're used to eating. Track what you're used to eating.
Start
learn
there
about that.
and then
And it's very hard, especially when someone comes into like a program of ours, for us to say, right, usually the best thing for them to do is to spend the first 3 weeks actually learning about their eating routines. But it's like, well, my eating routines have caused me to gain weight over the last 3 weeks. So like, sometimes that is the best thing, to realize why you were gaining the weight, why you were feeling out of shape, and learn about those foods. And then all you have to do is start making better adjustments. And then you don't have to look at changing your diet, you just have to look at improving it.
I actually worked with Larry. So Larry was my coach back in 2023 perhaps. And when I started working with him, he started me on, like, keep in mind I'm 40 now, so I was 37. He started me on like 2,400 calories. And like, he's like, but what he wanted to do, and then he kept upping them each week. But what he wanted to do was he wanted to find where my maintenance was. And my maintenance ended up being at like 2,600, which was incredible. But that just shows you.
Great news when people find that out.
People are like, Kate, have you built so much muscle? I'm like, it's because I'm not very good at dieting. So I've been training for years, and I like,
enough food
and I eat. I like eating, and I eat well, and I train. So I kind of just accidentally built loads of muscle, which was grand. Which meant then when I did want to lose a little bit of weight, then I was able to diet on really high calories. But Larry, like, he just kept pushing them up. He's like, I'm just trying to find the tipping point. And then we did, and then we started into a bit of a deficit. And I thought it was such an interesting approach and it's such a great way to do it with clients, particularly clients who have a good understanding of tracking calories as well, that get them to track at maintenance and bring them up and find where that is, so that you can diet them on the highest calories possible. And I think every client's different. Like you saying, they're just getting them to track for a few weeks and find where they're at and how much they're eating currently. Or I do that with some clients, and then other clients are just not able to track yet, and they've. So, like, I've worked with women who are waking up in the middle of the night and eating without even remembering. You know what I mean? So there's a huge amount of work that needs to be done emotionally and habit-wise, and their hormones are so dysregulated that we just need to get them eating regularly. So it very much depends on the client. But I think rarely throwing someone into an extreme deficit is the answer
Yeah.
to start off with.
And side note, knowing you, when you mentioned like your people's hormones being out of sync, that doesn't mean you need to do some program that's very fucking hormone specific, where it's like
No.
you have to fix and balance all your hormones and you have to do this and splash your face into a glass of water or a bowl of water in the morning, all that kind of stuff. You just need to sleep properly, eat well,
That's what I
fuel
was gonna-
properly,
yeah.
exercise, and your fucking hormones will sort themselves out when you're doing the right stuff. You don't need to do all the that drives me demented these days, where
Yeah.
people are selling women into hormone balancing programs, and
Yeah.
you're like, fucking waffle.
Oh, we found his sore spot.
Fucking
Anyway,
waffle.
mine is photo shoots. Apparently, yours is this.
Such, like, 'cause you get I've had women come to me like, yeah, I was part of this like hormone thing or this hormone program where I had to like get up at a certain time and I had to like, you know, take a cold shower first thing in the morning. I had to do this, I had to do that, and I was like, were you sleeping enough? And they were like, they were kind of making sure I was sleeping somewhat. And I was like, well, if you were sleeping enough, it would have fucking helped everything straight
Yeah.
off the bat. Like these things are just, it's like the it's a different version of like photo shoots. I think those hormone balancing programs out there now are like preying on women in particular.
It's marketing, yeah, it is marketing. And yeah, you want to fix your hormones, fucking sleep properly and eat enough and exercise.
And do it
like,
enough.
but what I will not, like even myself now with my own hormones now as I'm starting to get a little bit older and just with the women that I work with, there are some things that are a little bit more
As you age and
specific
stuff, yes, of
for
course.
women over
Or
40
certain specific
that,
things.
no, sorry, very little that's specific that you're going to be working with a coach. Like your hormones might get so bad that you do need to go to the doctor and get HRT. And it is actually now proven that when your estrogen levels drop a certain amount and, you know, your symptoms are getting pretty bad, it is recommended that women go on HRT for their bone density. HRT is very safe now. It's not like it was 15 years ago. So when it gets to that stage, it is something for women to consider, but that's not for a coach to advise.
Exactly.
You know, you're as a coach, you need to, when your client is really struggling, is to be like, it might be time to talk to your GP and you're not failing. My point is, I think most women will need HRT, and unless they're lifting really heavy weights all the time and they're genuinely not suffering with any symptoms, then, which I'm hoping is me. But anyway, we'll see. But I think the little things that women over 40 need to consider, okay, is your sleep is more important than ever. Usually when people are suffering or, you know, they're like the lifestyle things are not down. We're terrible at sleep, women particularly. Now, sometimes it is our babies that are causing it. Sometimes it's our teenagers that we're waiting up for. And but a lot of it is scrolling. It's staying up too late, getting up too early, taking on too much. We're too stressed and we're not like, so sleep, stress management, and you know, there's a certain amount of stress that, you know, we're probably taking on ourselves. As women, we tend to take on a lot more than we need to, and we won't delegate. And there's a certain amount of that's going on. But then your nutrition, like a lot of people don't realize that nutrition can be a stress on your body if you're not eating properly. And I think when you get over 40, what you really need to manage, the hormone that you need to keep under control is cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And in order to do that, outside of obviously dealing with the actual stresses in your life, is managing your blood sugar levels, which means eating a high protein diet, eating enough fiber, keeping your gut health intact. So it is like food quality becomes, you get away with less. You know, caffeine. Like you need to not be drinking caffeine into the afternoon. Like it's because it's going to affect your sleep, which is where your hormones are fixed. You know what I mean? And alcohol, like your body is not going to be able to do what it needs to do if it's constantly every weekend metabolizing alcohol. So like these things that a lot of people are doing, when you fix those, it fixes most of your problems. And then the last part about hormones, like that from women, I've just saved people a fortune, by the way, on any hormone. And you don't need to do a hormone program, okay? Is with the type of exercise you're doing. And this, some people don't like to hear this, but it is true in relation. And I'm only talking about women who are really struggling with their cortisol levels and their hormones getting out of whack. And Dr. Stacey Sims talks about this a lot. For women who are perimenopausal and menopausal, you need to lift heavy. You need to lift heavy weights a few times a week. It's really, really important. And what you want to avoid is that, you know, that prolonged high intensity stuff. It's not good for the cortisol levels. If you're trying to get your cortisol under control and you're doing HIIT classes, you're doing spin classes, you're doing long distance running, you're like, it's not going to help. I'm not against it, but And if you're doing it and it's not affecting you, that's fine. But if you are struggling, the best thing that you can do is lift heavy weights 3 to 4 times a week, walk every single day, or any type of, it's that zone
Zone 2.
kind of exercise where you are getting your heart rate up, and then once or twice a week doing real HIIT, proper HIIT, where you are going as hard as you can for 20 seconds and you're resting for 60, let's say, and doing that for like 4 rounds. Going hard on a ski machine or a bike or a treadmill if you want to do sprints or whatever, but that to get that response that you want. That doing a lot of the female focused kind of gym classes are doing the women of that age a disservice. And it's just something to consider, because I think now I know there's a lot of people who are very much into running and very into high rocks and CrossFit, and I would never say take it away. But if you're a woman who's struggling with your hormones and you're looking to lose weight and you're looking to get healthier, you don't have to, I think the worst thing you could do is start taking these things on.
Yeah.
I think it can be, it's so much more simpler than you think.
Yeah.
It is the sleep, it is the nutrition, it is the stress management, it is lifting weights, walking every day, and a little bit of high intensity.
And then what would you say, so if you've had women who've been, because especially like any parents that are listening to this, they've probably been trying that for years, on and off diets, trying different programs, doing the HIIT classes, doing the spin classes, now starting high rocks. What would be your thoughts on if someone came to you, a client, a potential client, and said, well, I've tried to do all that before and I failed and I keep failing? Like, how would you navigate that to help them now start building that into their lifestyle when they've come from a mindset of, anytime I tried to do something, it was never successful for me?
Yeah, I see this all the time, and it makes me so sad, because I think, and especially the older a woman is and the more they've tried. So I'm talking about women because I only work with women. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be cutting off. I'm not anti-man.
The title of this episode.
Sorry. I don't work with men, so I don't know. I'm not anti-man, but you guys could.
The anti-man
I'm
podcast.
just very girl power, okay? You guys could talk from the male perspective here, but I think the more diets they've tried, the more times they've failed, and they've done these extreme diets and they've come back and they've gained all the way back and more. They're losing a little bit more belief in themselves every single time, and it breaks my heart. And it comes back to that concept of the comfort zone and the growth zone, and then the zone of overwhelm. So a lot of us, we like to be in our comfort zone. That's where we feel. Or that's where we sleep. It's where where we're relaxed. But you're never going to change or grow in the comfort zone. But what most people do is when they decide that they want to change, they get so sick of being in the comfort zone. They hate themselves. They're sick of how they feel. Like really, really strong negative emotions. It's usually what kicks it off for a lot of people. And they panic. And they change everything, and they go and they start the HIIT classes, or they start training for a 5K when they've never ran in their lives, or they, to go and they join like some sort of clinic that has them on 1,000 calories or whatever. Okay. And they go extreme and they turn their lives upside down. They've now just flung themselves out of the comfort zone, past the growth zone and into the zone of overwhelm. And then what happens is they stay there for temporarily, make some progress, and then they fall off the cliff eventually because you cannot sustain it. It's so fucking overwhelming. So then they end up back in the comfort zone, and they feel worse off than they were the last time, because they're like, I failed again. And they feel powerless. And I think the whole system is set up to make people feel powerless. We can go down the conspiracy theories if you want. But if instead, I think the solution to this is the slow and steady approach. It's what we've been talking about. It's like, okay, right, how's my sleep? Let's focus on that first. Could I possibly go for a walk every day? So then you're moving out of the comfort zone. It's still annoying if you're someone who doesn't walk and you're like, oh fuck, I'd still go for my fucking walk today. But very quickly and I've worked with women where that has been a real chore, and then suddenly it becomes something they do every day, and then something happens in their lives and they can't get out for their walk for a few days and they miss it. And I'm like, you've cracked it. But it's that's the growth zone. And so you add it in habit by habit. And some people can take on a good few habit changes at once. And some people need to do it one at a time. And it doesn't matter how, like, what's the rush? It's the rest of your life. So, and I know when you feel so bad about yourself, you want to rush to the destination, but it can't be rushed because you have to build these layers slowly. And the great thing is, as you're building the layers, you're doing that identity-based thing. You're stepping into that version of yourself who does the things that makes you feel the way that you want to feel. And you're doing it step by step, but you're building evidence that you can do it. And that's what I love most about my job as a coach, is when women look back and they go, oh my God, this is the furthest I've got. I'm actually doing this. And it's manageable and it's amazing. And then a lot of them start, well, what else can I do?
Exactly.
I have women who've gone for promotions, have changed careers, who've, like made massive change in their life, in other areas of their lives, because suddenly they're taking their power back, and all that confidence that had been diminished by attempt after attempt and diet after diet was leaking out into all areas of their lives. And so that was, I think I answered the question.
That was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, no, because it is, like all of those things I always say to people as well, like you're rebuilding your confidence step by step. And when you build your confidence in terms of like, hey, I'm going to challenge myself to do this thing, and then I done this thing, and then I challenge again, and then I done that thing. If you set the challenge way too high, like you said, you're in that panic zone, you're not going to be able to do it because it's too much, there's too much overwhelm, and then you just feel like you failed all over again.
Did you hear about the concept of the gap and the gain? Have you ever read that book?
No.
So it's a book called The Gap and the Gain by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. But basically the concept of the gap and the gain is that we're either living in the gap or we're living in the gain. So if we're living in the gap, we're constantly looking at what we have to achieve. And we never feel good enough. We're never there. And it's the trap a lot of people fall into, that, they never feel satisfied. They're living in the gap. And even when they reach goals, it's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Whereas if we live in the gain, we take time to stop and reflect and always measure our goals backwards versus where we started. And I think that's a really powerful way to remind yourself of how far you've come as well. And like, what's the rush?
Exactly, yeah. That reflection part is so key. We talked about it, I think, with the Oisin episode of like, if you're not stopping and taking account of like, what have I achieved? What have I done? Like you just, exactly like that, you hit a goal and you're like, okay, cool, this doesn't feel like I thought it was going to feel, so I need to do the next thing. And you're just constantly chasing the next thing. And it's like, you always think the next thing is going to be where it feels good. And it just doesn't. It's
because you haven't dug deep enough. That's what the problem is. You don't know why you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing you were mentioning there about like people trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing, and almost being like, maybe it's kind of set up in a way for people to fail with certain things. Have you seen the videos going around, the coachable versus uncoachable client videos? These are the worst videos I've seen on social media from coaches in a long time. It's literally coaches being like, let me show you how bad I am at my job. It's a coach with a whiteboard in front of them, and they all start the same. They take a marker out, they bite it, and they spit it away. They're all copying and pasting the same video, but they have like coachable client and uncoachable client on the whiteboard. And let's say on the coachable client, it's like, client gets the plan, client follows the plan, client asks good questions, client checks in, client get results. Happy days. And then the uncoachable client is like, client gets the plan, client is busy with work, so doesn't follow the plan. Client is busy, so doesn't check in. Client's cat was sick, so missed the gym session. Client this, client that. Client doesn't get results, so client fails. And it's like, your fucking job is coaching the person that is struggling. Your job is literally coaching the person that is an uncoachable client.
Keith, coaches like that are going to be gone very quickly with AI.
Oh, gone.
Because you don't need a coach like that. Because if you don't, because then your AI person is going to be able to do that for you.
Yeah.
What AI isn't going to be able to do is have a coach that really understands what you're. Actually, maybe it will. It's just kind of scary, but that really that really understands your struggles and can be empathetic towards that and help you look at it from a different perspective and change the severity of the goals and the steps that you have to take. You know that visual that you see. I see. It comes up on my Instagram all the time. The two ladders and the big step, the big steps, and then you've got the smaller steps, and you see the person hanging off the ladder where the steps are too far apart, and then the person on the small steps is climbing the ladder quicker. Like smaller steps will get you there quicker.
Big time. Yeah. That I couldn't get over that video when I seen it, because I was like, just tell me you're terrible at your job. Would I tell them you're terrible at your job? It's
I didn't see them.
but it's also like, they're word for word. Like they're just copying and pasting. So it's also like, not only are you telling us you're shite at your job, you're also telling us you're terrible at like content creation and explaining things, because you're just trying to get viral by copying word for word someone else. You're also like a bit of a con artist from that perspective. It's wild. We complain about social media all the time on here, but that one this week just really got me.
That's not even social media. Like I remember gyms like local to me. That's how like personal trainers were in person back in like 2015, 2016, 2017. Like it was just constant that if you miss something, they never took into account your lifestyle. They never took into account.
This is why people were afraid to go to the gym, though.
Yeah.
This is why there's real gym anxiety there.
Yeah.
Because of this, I'm better than you. You're just not disciplined enough kind of mindset.
You want it enough.
I get messages, I'd say at least 2 or 3 times a week, always from a different client saying, I am probably the worst client you have. And I'm like, right, why? I missed 2 gym sessions this week. I'm like, why did you miss 2 gym sessions this week? It's like, my kids were sick. I'm like, you're the worst client that I have because your kids are sick. I'm like, come on. I says, like, this is why you're with me, because I know someone else might have made you feel guilty for doing this. I know someone else might have said, sure, just send them off to the fucking hospital and like you'd be grand, leave them, they'll be safe there for 2 days. I'm like, no, we need to now build systems that are going to allow you.
I've lost over 50 pounds by never being perfect. I'm like the worst dieter ever. I hate being in a deficit. I hate, like, I really don't enjoy, like, I am a very, like, in the moment, YOLO kind of girl. I love to go. YOLO. It's like 10 years. So 10 years ago. Anyway, but that's exactly what I am. I'm like, you know, if I'm out for dinner with someone I haven't seen in ages, I'm not fucking stressing about calories. I don't want to. I don't. It's not like my goal isn't disappearing because I'm choosing to have dinner with my friend that I haven't seen in 6 months, or if I go on a weekend away with my husband and we're going exploring a new city. I want to be able to do things like that. I'm not putting my life on hold to look a certain way. However, I do think that it's important to be realistic with your expectations then. So if I wanted to lose a few pounds, I would do it over a longer period of time, because I'm not willing to trade those things.
Not that flexibility.
But I don't mind. I don't care. Like, because I know that if I just tidy things up a little bit, you know, track a little bit more accurately, and most of the time my life is very Groundhog Day and it's fine. And then when there's something on, I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy it. And then I'm going to get, there's no guilt. It's a guilt and shame attached to being off plan that leads you to be off plan longer rather than just getting back to it. And like, but that's how I think it's really important as well, anyone listening, to figure out what way it works best for you. And there's no right or wrong, and you're not failure for doing, like, that's the way I like to do it. I lost weight over a long period of time and I've been able to maintain it. Give it, like, I always go, like, and maintenance as well is never static.
It's within,
like, I'll go up and
kilos.
down, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Depending, like, I'm in the middle of the summer, I've had a lot on, I'm back from holidays, I'm up a few pounds, it's fine. I've nothing on the rest of the summer. I'll be down a few by the end of the summer, like, whatever. But it's over that space of time, and knowing what works well for you. Because, like, for example, my head coach Lindsay is a bit more like what you were saying. She likes to get into a diet out of a diet, you know, and she will. She's that's the way she works, and she gets narrow-minded, and she, narrow vision, not narrow-minded. And she just gets it done. And she doesn't really do much, and she just sticks to her calories, and she likes to do it that way, and then she's out of it, and then she's back at maintenance, or, you know, so it does depend on the person. But I think that my point here is you have to be realistic with your expectations. The amount of people that I have worked with that are getting impatient with how slow they're losing weight, but they're also still living their best lives. I'm like, everything has a trade-off, and it depends on what's. And I think if a lot of people then fall into the trap of trading all of that and it feeling too hard, then so it's not worth it, and then they give up.
I like to kind of say to people, that the folks that I'm working with, like, I like to turn people into a dimmer switch, in the sense of, like, rather than you're either on track, you're off track, like a normal light switch. You're a dimmer switch where sometimes when we're in the middle here, we're moving at a nice steady pace. If we're focused on losing weight over a period of time, you're losing weight, you're doing 80%, like, everything's in a good place. You're getting your training sessions done. Food is fairly good. You have a bit of flexibility at the weekend. We're moving in the right direction. Sometimes we might dial it up. If you're like, hey, I have nothing on for the next month, I have no social stuff on, I want to like hammer it and lose as much weight as I can in the next 4 weeks. Cool. We can dial everything up a little bit. We can push the diet. We can push the training and the cardio if we want to. Sometimes it might be bang in the middle of summer. You have loads of social events going on. You're going away on holidays. We're going to dial things down a little bit. You're maybe not training 3 times. You're training twice a week. Your food's not as like on track as it usually is, but it's also not absolutely shite.
We can bring people to maintenance when they've a busy period. It's like there's no point in trying to be in a deficit and be failing.
Yeah.
Stay at maintenance, you probably still lose a few pounds anyway at maintenance if you can keep the other bits in place, but you have more flexibility around food if you're eating out or you're on holidays or whatever.
Yeah, and like maintenance doesn't have to be like the same calories every day as well. It could be a little bit less during the week and then a little bit more flexible at the weekend. I think a lot of people think, they hear you saying maintenance is 2,400 calories. They're like, I'm not eating that every day. But it's like, like let's do 1,700 calories, 1,800 calories Monday to Friday because you're not hungry. You're not, you can still eat well. You can still hit everything you need to hit, and then maybe do 2,600 at the weekend.
So you can go out and or go on a weekend away or whatever it is that you've got going on. Like,
and then when you hear people say, I couldn't eat 2,600 calories, I'm like, do the thing I told you to do. Log what you had last weekend. Is that real? Is that right?
We could start people on 1,800 calories, and sometimes they're like, I couldn't possibly eat that many calories. Like, give it a fucking week or two. Okay, you will. You will. I promise you.
Look, I think we are coming up to the time that we usually close off the podcast. So I don't know what the name of this podcast is going to be. We had an original name, but I think we went down a couple of different directions.
Title for this podcast? Yeah. I was like, I thought we had a name for the podcast.
Oh, we have a name for the podcast. Oh, that's the title for today's podcast.
Oh, the title for today's one.
But Kate, I suppose if you could just give 2 takeaways from this particular podcast, this conversation, like if someone forgot everything that was said in this podcast, what would you go and what would you advise them on if you could give them 2 takeaways?
Like if I was to say, come and listen to this episode.
Yeah, that's one.
If it was like a parent that's getting started and struggling, and you're like, what are the simple things that you'd recommend they focus on?
So you want me to? Okay, so the takeaways of what we spoke about: keep it simple. Keeping it simple, stop overcomplicating things. You don't have to be perfect to be able to make progress, and be realistic with your expectations in relation to your goals and what you see, the shape that other people are in, because it's not always healthy, and realistic to the lifestyle that you want to lead in order to reach your goals, and stop rushing it. What's the rush?
Yeah, you said that loads of times. What's the rush? And I'm like, yes,
that's
great.
That's my motto in life.
I always find people sign up with a coach. They're like, I need to get this done as quick as possible because I'm paying for a coach, so I want to get it done quickly. And it's like, well, hold on, that's just going to make this worse. If you're just trying to speed run through it, think of it as part of a coach is like having part of your life for a period of time to get where you want to get to. But come here, before we let everybody go, Kate, we like to do a little Q&A section at the end just to kind of get to know you a little bit more, let the people at home know you a little bit more.
I've got one question, but this question's for you because we've a tradition on this podcast where I take the piss out of Keith's age. It's just because he's so much older than me.
So much older. I'm fucking 33.
So don't take offence to this, Kate. But there was a term used, and I don't know what it means. YOLO. I think I'm too young for that.
You are too young for that, you child. I was going to do a video one day on bring back YOLO. This is completely so random you asked that because after that whole Stephen Bartlett thing of I drank 3 glasses of wine that ruined my week. Did you see that video?
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't podcast well and everything. After that, I was like, I need to do a video on just bring back fucking YOLO, where you just have a good time and stop worrying about the consequences. Not saying obviously ruin fucking fitness and health and all that kind of stuff, but the whole idea of people stressing about I'm not as optimized as I could be. I'm like, you got to go back to a simpler time in life.
I was going to say I didn't think Stephen Bartlett ever could podcast, but we're only on our 5th podcast, so I think a lot of people will be saying that about us at some stage.
Yeah.
No, you're doing a great job. Stephen Bartlett needs to watch out.
We'll catch him in no time. So come here, Kate, questions for you.
Okay.
Barry's or Lions?
Barry's.
Why? Just
is.
People don't know why they're so passionate about it. They're always so passionate about one or the other. Chipper or Chinese takeaway?
Chipper.
Is there a local that you frequent or enjoy?
I like a Joker's from Greystones.
Joker's, I've heard of that one before. Never been to it. Are you a dog or a cat person?
Dog.
Do you have dogs?
Yeah, I have one dog.
Lovely. What kind of a dog?
I have a little cockapoo called Honey.
Lovely.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Cockapoos are
She's
crazy.
my favourite child.
I love that your lads are going to be watching that. Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized chicken or 100 chicken-sized horses?
my God. I think chicken-sized horses, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, chickens freak me out.
And a giant one definitely would. We were gonna, because you're used to be a primary school teacher, we were gonna ask about, like, we've seen a video of these fellas asking, like, if you were just like in a room with like 30 preschool kids, like, how long would you last if they were just like fake children or whatever, but like attacking you? I was like, that's a bit weird for our podcast. We'll stick with the questions that we have in there. Is there a kids' food you ate with your kids growing up that you'd happily eat nowadays?
Like what that stuff, something that I ate as a kid that I still...
No, something that you would have fed your kids.
When they were they were small, that I would still eat now.
Yeah. Do you prefer...
Oh, Liga.
What's Liga?
You don't know what Liga is?
I'm not...
They're like baby biscuits.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, yeah. You probably were fed it as a kid yourself.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Liga, they're just like biscuits. They're like kind of like rusks.
Oh yeah, I know rusks.
The only reason I know about them is because, do you remember, like, maybe 2018, 2019, everyone was trying to come out with something new. Like, everyone found this new food, this new coconut oil became a thing then. But there was a fella who used to come into the gym and he'd be eating rusk biscuits because this is the best pre-workout snack you can have.
Well, it's like you hear it's bodybuilders eating the tubes of pureed baby food as well.
Yeah. Do you prefer a beach holiday or a city break?
I like both. I don't like a city break when it's hot.
Yeah, fair.
Like city breaks in the winter, sun holidays in the summer.
Do you prefer a pint or a cocktail?
I don't drink.
No.
Yeah, so I don't.
Well, stop asking fitness people.
Yeah.
No, they all have the same answer.
I rarely drink. But I like a Heineken Zero, or I like a virgin pina colada.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good one. And last one, if you could only watch one TV show for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh my God. One TV show. Probably Friends.
It's always one of those shows.
I think that's the only answer we've had in the 5 podcasts.
I think so, yeah. It's a good one, though.
Does everyone say Friends?
I definitely had it 3 times.
Yeah, I think
we're such sheep, the whole lot of us, aren't we? I think when you're put on the spot,
it's the fact that everyone said they don't drink either.
Yeah, I got to get a new question for that one.
Yeah. What's your favourite alcohol-free drink?
Yeah, what's your favourite non-alcoholic drink? Yeah.
I have to say, this is an absolute pleasure. This is brilliant.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved it.
Yeah, no, this is class. Kate, do you want to, just before we hit stop, do you want to plug anything? Program, business coaching, mentorship?
Yeah, if you could follow me over on Instagram, but it's the main place you'll find me. Kate Hampton Health is my Instagram handle, and I have my Nourish Her Health and Fitness coaching. And I have my Lead Her business mentorship for females who want to build personal brand, build their own business, and build a little bit of freedom.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, we would definitely plug that as well. We've seen Kate's growth over the last couple of years, and it's been probably quicker, and it looked from the outside probably more fulfilling than quite a lot of the growth that we've seen in like different coaches over the last couple of years. So fair play to you on that as well. So this has been the 2 Eejits Talking Fitness podcast and Kate Hamilton. And we are going to put a button, if you're watching us on YouTube, where you can click here. I've seen that on someone else's YouTube. Can you do that? Can you do that? If you hit here, you can watch the next episode that we would recommend. Thanks very much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. I'm Jack McGailey. You can find me at this handle here. You sort that out.
Doing that.
You sort that out. This is the other Eejits, Keith O'Rourke.
See you later, everybody.
We'll catch you on the next one. Lovely.
Happy days. Thank you very much, Kate.
Thank you.
That was a great episode.
I love podcasts.
That was very
it's my favourite thing to do. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.